essentially up until the Affordable Care Act of 2010, the United States created a very separate mental health and addiction system from medical care. It's been segregated from basic medical school education to the creation of separate facilities to treat individuals with mental illnesses, to stigmatizing people with their illnesses, from blaming them for their illnesses, to understanding that today that mental disorders are a complex condition of genetics, biology, psychology, and environmental factors. And that we're really just truly starting to appreciate what all of these illnesses are and what effective treatments are. There's great hope for the future. First of all, contrary to what many people think about mental health treatment works. Major depression can be treated successfully with antidepressant medications and psychotherapy in 65% to 80% of all cases. And that is a success rate that exceeds many current common medical treatments for non-psychiatric conditions. And that individuals who are treated for their mental illnesses report very high levels of work efficacy and satisfaction, almost 80%. We also know that with certain treatments such as cognitive behavioral therapy, that 75% of patients who are depressed show significant improvements after treatment. And that employees who are treated for depression with antidepressant medications report that their work performance improved. So if we know that there are, in fact, effective treatment strategies to help individuals manage their symptoms and or recover in order to lead meaningful lives, to enjoy work, to live successfully in the community, we have opportunity for the future to really integrate behavioral health and physical health care in a way that I believe will treat the entire person and not just particular symptoms. We have some ways to go, but I do believe that we have hope. One of the things that I always believed when I was Commissioner of Mental Health is that, no, I did not want to put myself out of a job, but that there should be for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts a Commissioner of Health. And that would be a statement that we support and value all health conditions, not just some. And to me, going forward, really the integration of health is where we need to be for individuals, because we understand that there are comorbid conditions for individuals, as well as treating one body part differently from another body part is probably not truly meeting the needs of that individual. So I want to jump to what is in my mind today, tomorrow, and our future. And that is the Affordable Care Act and why I have such tremendous hope for the future. I'm not going to go into detail on the Affordable Care Act. Hopefully you have studied that and understand that why this is so important. And for many of us, we consider this the civil rights legislation of this young century. But there's a couple of things I want to really focus on. If you typed mental health, mental illness, addictions, or behavioral health into the Affordable Care Act, it would light up as a Christmas tree. Because for the first time in a federal piece of legislation, we see words that talk about integration. We talk about words that promote integration, promote health promotion, elimination of symptoms, and parity. So for the very first time, we see legislation that takes behavioral health and really puts it on the same level of primary care. Now, some people, cynics, would say, well, we can decrease the kinds of medical care we provide in order to provide behavioral health services. I think that that is really unlikely. What we're going to see instead is see really the increasing of financing and access to mental health services on the same terms and conditions as physical health care. That is a huge game changer and opportunity to decrease stigma, to increase acceptability of treatment, and to hopefully increase the availability and supply of effective evidence-based strategies to meet the needs of people with mental illnesses and addiction disorders in the United States. So one of the 3 goals of the ACA is to improve the healthcare delivery system. And in my mind, I translate that to mean we have to improve behavioral health care. Because if we're going to be creating medical homes and ACOs, medical homes are not going to be successful if they're only treating a person's physical health condition. When we know that 25% of adults in the United States have behavioral health issues, you can't say, oh, I'll treat your heart condition, but I'm not responsible for your depression or whatever else you're experiencing. That just will not work in the Affordable Care Act. The other, though, big piece of the Affordable Care Act is taking the 2008 Wellstone-Domenici parity law and embedding it in the ACA. So, in fact, they take that law and they extend it in terms of how many commercial plans, what they have to do to improve their behavioral health treatment, their behavioral health coverage for individuals. This is a game changer. It's going to be messy as we sort of figure out how primary care integrates something that has been so segregated from it. But if you're a person with mental illness or a family member or someone with addictions, this should absolutely increase coverage for individuals. And more important for me, the Affordable Care Act, or as important, the Affordable Care Act is about population health management. It's about what does the population need to manage stress, manage complex medical conditions, including behavioral health. And at the core of that is care coordination. Not care coordination how we might have done it in the managed care days, which was really about managing cost, and maybe you got managing care too. What we're really talking about is helping individuals, particularly with complex conditions, coordinate all the services that will help them be successful. For some of us, we think that the care coordination is a full employment act for social workers, but more seriously, it is helping the patient in whatever their whole needs are and wrapping those services around them and not having them get treated for sort of what I would call component parts. This will integrate. It has to integrate behavioral health care back into medicine, back into our health care systems through community health centers, primary care offices. You'll see social workers and others embedded in their offices, and general hospitals will have to really step up to provide psychiatric and addiction care in addition to general medical care. So in my mind, this is the future that we have to hope for. Also, this is the future sooner than you think, and this really gives you a sense of, this is a tree, but I sort of like to think of it as actually like a stew as we think about co-located care, behavioral health care, primary care behavioral health. So we're starting to see the language change as we talk about integrated health care. And so for some of you, you may look at that and think it's confusing. For me, it says that we are struggling in the very good way of how do we integrate. Because integration of primary and behavioral health care is not a one-stop kind of shopping. There's going to be all sorts of models for us to experiment with. It's bi-directional. Some individuals might have their medical home be their behavioral health provider, and then they wrap around the primary care services around that individual. For others, it might be their primary care doctor or their medical home and provides the behavioral health right there on site. So we have lots of opportunities to really shape a new way of thinking about integrating behavioral and physical health care in the United States. And with that, I want to give you a depiction of what integrated care may look like, because sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words. And here is actually, this is real. In my mind, this is integrating behavioral health and physical health. Now you could say it's just pharma, and that wouldn't be unfair. So on the left is actually a real person's entire set of medications and instructions around their behavioral and physical health care needs. And with care coordination at the heart, this is what the person's daily life is now like. You see the pill packs, but those two other charts in there actually is what the person's daily routine is to help them manage actually a pretty significant mental health condition in terms of what they do every day. They're checking with their care coordinator, and it is a good visual of where I hope we will be in this century.